report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the fairground.
Active shooters, the controversies that surround them, and our opinions. And now it's Shots Fired with your hosts, TJ Kirgin, Fat Dark Earth, and Dinah Death Milberg.
Yeah. Welcome, shitheads, to episode 19 of
Right.
Shots Fired. And this time, the active shooter was at Manny's Blue Room Lounge in Robbins, Illinois, 20 miles south of Chicago.
Yep.
Have you guys heard about that yet?
I don't think they have.
They haven't? I bet they haven't, because it has been kept pretty hush-hush.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty big deal right now, and it's only going to get bigger, and that's why we're talking about it today. The title of this show is, "The Only Thing That Will Stop a Good Guy with a Gun is a Cop with a Gun."
Ooh.
Because in this, a good guy with a gun stopped an active shooter and ended up losing his life to police when they arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Jemel Roberson, a 26-year-old security guard that was working at the bar, Manny's Blue Room Lounge. Man, this is a giant clusterfuck for the Midlothian Police Department, because he wasn't even a cop from the local town. He was from the town next door that came over to this thing.
Yeah, the neighboring precinct.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I just feel like this episode, because it was a white cop that shot a good guy with a gun that happened to be black.
Yeah.
A black security guard.
Yeah.
Jemel was a black security guard. I'm thinking this podcast needs some more diversity. And man, you are just.
Well, you want me to go turn the contrast down on the cameras or something?
No. I think we need Token Marcus.
Token Marcus?
Yeah, dude, just to add some diversity to the discussion. So I'm gonna snap my fingers.
You gonna do a bikini snap?
Yeah, it's gonna be a Token Marcus snap. You ready?
Right on.
All right, here we go. Oh, you're not Token Marcus.
I ain't your token nothing.
Well, everybody, I don't know what happened to Token Marcus, but I've been joined in the studio by the one and the only Kevin Dixie from N.O.C. Firearms Training. Kevin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good today, man. How are you?
I'm surprised, honestly.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you are
I was
surprised.
expecting someone else.
Nah, you're going to get some real conversation today.
Oh, shit. Well, the shitheads are going to get some real conversation today.
All right, let's do it.
So, Kevin, you're a Second Amendment advocate.
I am.
Pretty big deal, getting bigger and bigger as the days go by. You got your own Instagram, you got your own Facebook. You actually do training. Before we get into this discussion, just give me a quick elevator speech, about you.
Well, my name's Kevin Dixie. Everybody calls me KD. I do operate a company called No Other Choice Firearms Training, so I do a lot of Second Amendment advocacy work, firearms training, obviously, and I do run a community outreach program called Aiming for the Truth. Long story short, it's a holistic way to heal the human beings, to keep them from being violent in the first place. Then once we teach them how to build equity and get them resources, then we can teach them how to defend that equity, thus the Second Amendment.
Right. Yeah. So basically, your thing, if I'm going to simplify it and dumb it down as dumb as I can get it, you're about education and the creation of more black good guys with guns.
Yes, and Americans in general.
Americans in general.
Yep.
Okay. So fair enough. Well, we're talking today about something that I know you and I've talked about off the air. We talked about it on social media the other day. I saw your post about it, got me interested in it. I started looking into it, and that was the shooting of Jemel Roberson, a 26-year-old security guard working at the Manny's Blue Room Lounge in Robbins, Illinois.
Correct.
What do you know about this event?
All right. Well, some of the facts we know, because we got to be, you got to be careful with it as things develop. But some of the facts we know is that the young man was working a security detail. I do know that this young soul was aspiring to be a police officer. Believe he was going to take his testing next spring.
March. Yeah, he was planning on being a cop, and we're going to take that test in March.
Yeah. Good kid. 26 is showing my age by calling him a kid, but he's a good kid. Member of his church. He was
an
organist.
Yeah.
I remember reading that he was also he did a lot of helping of the community in general. He was just a good person and worked the job and wanted to do more. Showed up to work, and he did everything that we would want anybody to do. He had to escort some patrons outside of his place that he was contracted to legally secure. Escorted the patrons out. At least one of them, as far as we know, returned with a firearm. Opened fire. You got 4 individuals hit.
One of which was the bartender.
Which, man, imagine what. Ooh, that's got.
That makes it even worse.
Man, it's got to suck. So he returns fire. I don't know if right at this point, I don't know if the guy that he caught it's the same guy that was firing. I don't know.
There seems to be some confusion about that in the different witness statements, but nobody knows yet.
So we can't call that factual yet. But either way, he caught somebody that was involved in it, whether it was the original shooter or not. Caught him, knelt on his back, which is what anybody would do, held the guy at gunpoint. He had to realize the authorities had already been contacted, so he held the guy there. Until the responding authorities got there, the problem is he got shot, and he got killed instead.
Yeah, according to USA Today and the NPR, we looked at a couple different sources on this, and we also have a copy of the actual Illinois State Police official report that's been released. And the witness accounts and the police report are not necessarily jiving.
Yeah.
Basically, what the witnesses are saying happened is that these guys came back after being escorted out by Jemel. They started shooting up the place. Jemel returned fire, got in a foot chase with one of them, tackles him, gets him down in the rear parking lot of the bar, out the back door, lined with each. The local police department arrives first, which is the Robbins, Illinois Police Department. Now, there's two departments that were involved here, Robbins and Midlothian. And kind of reminds me of when I was a police officer in North St. Louis County. Just a ton of little bitty municipalities all intertwined with each other.
Yep.
And back then, we were all on the MRS radio. And so if there was a shooting in Wellston, I'd go to Wellston. It was 2 towns away. But we'd all back each other up. That's kind of how the small town cop thing works because they don't have the size and manpower of a large county department or a state department. So the Midlothian guys respond, and what the witnesses are saying is that the Robbins police had Jemel at gunpoint in the rear park and were giving him commands. Drop the gun, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, a witness says that the Midlothian police officer who had entered the front of the bar went through the bar, obviously seeing the victims in the bar, burst out the back door of the bar and yelled, "Drop the gun." But according to the witnesses, he fired the shot before he said, "Gun. Drop the pop. Gun." Right? So now, according to the police report, says, let's see, it's right here. It says, upon his arrival, a Midlothian police officer encountered a subject in plain black clothing with no markings, readily identifying himself as a security guard, armed with a gun in the west parking lot. According to witness statements, the Midlothian officer gave the armed subject multiple verbal commands to drop the gun and to get on the ground before ultimately discharging his weapon and striking the subject. Blah, 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 and he fucked up. Exactly. But so the report says basically that this guy gave him multiple verbal commands, yet the witnesses are saying that the multiple verbal commands came from the Robbins officers who were already on the scene, and that this guy just burst through the back door, gave one command, and fired mid-command.
And I understand the facts still need to come out.
Right.
But right now, they screwed up. They just flat out. Because
there's no doubt that somebody screwed up here because there's a good guy dead.
Now, and I like to know, and I tried to find it, and it can be different from unity to immunity, but I myself tried to look up what the security uniform requirements are for that area. Couldn't find anything that I thought was sustainable, so I'm not going to pretend to quote it. But let's just say that the witnesses are credible. I don't have a reason to believe they aren't, right? So if he indeed, which we'll see photos, if he indeed had a hat on that says security or some kind of a jacket or vest or whatever that says security on it, people need to give that a little credence. Like, it's okay to admit that somebody that's in the thin blue line or on the thin blue line screwed up. Still a human being.
Absolutely.
Does it mean he shot him because he was black? No, I can't say that. But did he come outside and happen in this day and age, in this country right now, with all the things we're going through? Did he shoot a good guy who happened to be a black guy with a gun who stopped? Let's say it. Everybody's like, oh, if we had guns in these places, we could stop mass shootings. Okay.
He did.
4 could have turned into 14 or 24 for all we know. And still he wound up shot. So we have to get down to the reason of that. And I'm not going to say that the cop came in with motive. It could have been walking through a bar, you're seeing people, your adrenaline's going, your body alarm responses all over the place.
Especially after that shooting in California just days before this.
Right.
Where the bar was, 12 people were killed by the Marine with the Glock. This guy's thinking, oh, here we go again. Now it's my turn to experience this.
Yeah.
And he sees blood and gore, and probably not as much blood and gore. I mean, I've been on shooting scenes. There's not that much blood, but he sees people shot. He goes through the back door and sees a guy with a gun and executes him.
And it's foul. It's wrong.
Now,
he needs to. Somebody needs to own up for it.
Yeah, and there's some other things. There's a lot of holes in this story. There's almost as many holes in this story as there are in Jemel. They said Jemel had one of the stories I read said that he got shot 4 times in the side. Mm-hmm. Right? The police report doesn't say how many times he was shot, only that the officer discharged his weapon. The witness statement said that the officer discharged his weapon in mid-statement, but doesn't say how many times he discharged his weapon. So I think how many times he was shot, does it matter? No, he's still dead. But I think it does. It further would go to the mindset of what's going on in that officer's head if he's coming out the door, bang, 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 and shooting it up, or if he just shot once, it was like, oh, whoops, ND. I mean, that could have been it too. You bust through the door, you got your finger on the trigger, and you're taking a step, and mid-statement, you squeeze one off and kill a guy because you made a mistake, because you made an error. That could be it too. Like you said, it might not be that he was racist or that he was trigger happy. He might have just accidentally squeezed too hard, which is a testament to small town cop training.
Testament to training everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Jakiah Woods, one of the witnesses, lives in a house adjacent to the Manny's parking lot. She said officers already on the scene, that'd be the Robbins cops, had asked Roberson, Jemel, to release the suspect. And Roberson was complying when another officer came through the back door. Before Roberson could get up off him, the officer comes flying out the door, gun up, Woods said Tuesday afternoon while standing on her porch. He says, get on the ground, and before he says ground, he fires the first shot. Furthermore, she said everyone was screaming and hollering. He's a security guard. He works here. He's one of us. He's one of us. He's one of us. And that did not stop this officer from firing. So I'm telling you what, it's a pretty messed up story.
And I'm going to tell you this too. And this is the part that America doesn't like to hear, but I'm going to say it. We don't know, but let's just say we're just going to kind of go to a spectrum of this real quick. Let's just say his skin tone did make him a little nervous. Say he was going to be nervous anyway, but Jemel's skin tone kicked it up 10-15%, right? One thing we can't constantly ignore, because I've seen people kind of cast this away. They're like, oh, okay, this is bad. All the details, I agree. We need facts. We have to have facts to make decisions on things. I get that. At the same time, a lot of people, 2A supporters, Blue Line supporters, are quick to jump and just simply say, oh, well, it was okay. Let's find out. No, guys, you can love somebody and still hold them accountable for their mistakes. Mm-hmm. Flat out. If we are talking about unifying the country, part of that is admitting when somebody you care about fucks up. It's okay. Hey, man, we wish you the best, but you jacked up in this situation. That was one of the good guys. We're trying not to make this about color, but we can kind of see people's point saying, now, look, this is the second, mind you. This isn't just another isolated incident, because what America normally says is, well, the guy was a former dope dealer, or the guy had marijuana in his system, and all these excuses. And I don't try to create the perfect victims in any situation, because that's very dangerous. At the same time, you look at Botham Jean, shot dead in his own apartment by a cop a couple of months ago, right? America says that was screwed up, but we'll just let that get quiet. Because that
did get quiet.
Yeah, professionally employed guy. Another
he had some weed in his parking lot.
Because he had some weed in his apartment.
In his apartment.
And that's exactly what people tried to put out to then, tear his character down. Right. And
don't think police departments don't do this. I mean, I worked for some of the shadiest police departments in Missouri. I promise you. The chief of police that I worked for got indicted for stealing cocaine out of the evidence locker about 2 months after he threatened to indict me over something I didn't do. And they were putting pressure on me by doing that, because I was making too many drug arrests. And in these small town municipalities, the real drug dealers are the alderman and the mayor. And so I was putting too much pressure on them because I was gung-ho, and they tried to throw me in prison about it. And, of course, it didn't work, because here I am today. But that same chief got hemmed up later. The police department I used to work for is now defunct.
Oh, yeah.
After the most recent chief got indicted, finally, after he committed God knows how many murders.
There was so many people happy about that, by the way.
It was
a lot.
We won't go into that because he could probably reach out and have me killed from prison. But anyway.
Yeah, but then when you get past both of them, and then you get to Jemel, now we're talking about, okay, guys, now look, Now we have another guy, good guy. Go through his resume. Go look at the stuff that's put out about him. He's a good kid.
Yeah, this is a good kid that wanted to be a cop, and he was a security guard because he wanted to be a cop. He wanted to make a difference in the world, and that night he did make a difference. He stopped an active shooter.
And so you're going to have to responsibly address the racial component. Because even if you're going to say, hey, we don't know that cop is racist. We have absolutely no idea, right? I'm not going to put that on him.
And you know what? I would venture to say he probably isn't. Because it would be very difficult for a racist white cop to work in a small town municipality of 5,000 people that's predominantly black.
Might be a little challenging.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet, could he have been nervous? Generally, could have kicked up a little bit because of Jemel, possibly. But at the same time, you could qualm all that. You could squash all those debates by simply saying he screwed up. Where people are starting to really throw the racial component in is when people are defending the actions of the officer. It's like, guys, it's always believe them, trust them, and that the citizen had to make an error. They're humans at the end of the day. I know you were a cop. I worked for a PD for 10 years. Trust me, mistakes happen, and they happen all the time. And sometimes they happen to innocent people. It happens. But you have to be bold enough to say, hey, you know what? I am all about supporting my first responders. That guy might not be a bad guy, but he screwed up and he got jacked up, period. And we need to deal with that. And that's what people need to start getting to.
And you know what? This podcast is not just about white cop, dead black good guy with a gun. It's actually more about dead good guy with a gun. Because it doesn't matter what color he is. He was a good guy with a gun. I mean, it could have been me. You know, I got a gun right now. I'm a good guy. You probably got a gun on you right now. You're a good guy. Somebody comes through the door, shooting up the employees here at Tactical Shit. You and I put in some work, take them out. Cops get here. We could get smoked too. And that's the thing. I'm sure you talk about in your training when you're doing training, and that's what we want to talk about in this podcast as well, is the other side of this. You know, the only thing that stops a good guy with a gun is a cop with a gun. And what could Jemel have possibly done differently? You know, if anything, maybe not in this situation, but this could happen to any one of us if we don't act right in the chaos of the moment when the law enforcement arrives 60 seconds or 2 minutes after the shit has hit the fan.
That's true. I mean, you know what I normally tell people, and once again, I don't know what he did, so I can't critique it. But what I normally tell people, look, if you've deployed your firearm, whether it's you fired around or you didn't, but you have it out, you have to pay attention to different things like audibles. You start hearing sirens, understand, okay, help's getting close. That siren gets louder and louder. You need to holster your firearm. If you're safe, you need to holster up. If you still have threats around you, you need to start separating yourself from the threats. Make sure you're not the person showing up with a gun. And if you are the one calling 911, give the best description of you as humanly possible. I'm 6 foot 255. I have on these clothes. This is my skin tone. This is what I look like. I do have a gun. You know, give the responding officer.
Please don't shoot me.
Don't shoot me.
Tell them not to shoot me.
Please. So I think there's a lot of different things you can do. Now, I think in his situation, trying to put myself in his shoes, it's probably nerve-wracking for him too, right? How many active shooters has he ever stopped?
Right. No, his heart was pounding. His adrenaline dump. He had tunnel vision. He was probably short of breath. And he's on top of a guy. Maybe he thinks the guy still has a gun. I've been on top of guys before that had a gun under them. That's a scary situation when you've got your gun out on top. You know, and then you get, like you said, the audibles. You don't just get one siren, right? You get, in a town like this, there was probably 13 or 14 police cars there within 60 seconds, and all of those sirens were set at different wails and yelps, and they're all out of sync with one another, and they leave them on. When cops jump out of the car in an active shooting situation, there's no time to turn that thing off. And so the scene is just, I'm surprised anybody could hear anything, you know, with that many sirens going off. Drop the gun, you know, that sort of thing. You know, when you've got tunnel vision and your adrenaline's dumped, you know, he might not have heard what they were saying to him.
That's true. And he probably, in the back of his mind, didn't think that they would ever raise a gun at him, right?
Right, because my friends are here. They're here to save me.
My future family, right? Because this is the family I'm joining.
Right.
And if I'm in the proper gear and I got this guy down, if they are yelling, it's not at me because clearly I'm one of the good guys. So he could have had that going on through his mind as well.
Oh, it's such a sad thing. This guy was a father to a 9-month-old son, and his son's mother was expecting their second child. She's currently pregnant with his second child.
Jesus, man.
All around bad situation. And the liberals are having a heyday with it. The WGN TV and the Chicago Tribune are saying, "Oh, this is what pro-gunners are saying." The good guy stops bad guys with a gun, but then the good guy gets killed. It just made the situation worse.
Right.
That's what they're trying to say about it. I don't know. I mean, the other thing, the witnesses are saying that he had a hat on that said security, black hat, white letters, and a vest that said security on the back, and he was shot in the side. But yet the police report saying he's wearing all black with no markings. So I can't wait till some video or some pictures come out of this. In today's world, those cops should have been wearing body cams most likely, but maybe not in those small Chicago munis. Right. I don't know. That bar probably had security footage. I'm surprised nobody had their phones out. So maybe it's just that we haven't gotten all the info. This only happened, 2 days ago?
2 days ago. And then you got to remember, the family is raising, which, rightfully so, is raising a lawsuit already.
$1 million.
Yeah, they might be, if they do have info, lawyers might have said, hey, let's hold on to that to the right time and things like that. So it could be all kind of different things that are playing.
Well, that's the thing that sucks. These municipalities are immediately going into CYA.
Oh, yeah.
Cover the ass, and they're gonna try to make it go away. And hopefully they don't do what the Texas department did and try to make it go away by making the victim look like a bad guy.
If they want issues, do that. If they want to have a public relations nightmare and they want to see people up in arms as far as being upset, do that. And another thing, too, here's something else to watch out. The guys, I don't know which guy caught who or which guy did the shooting, but let's just say they get them all. They say get all the bad guys involved. You got to remember, this happened in the commission of a crime. So Jemel's murder could just be attached to them, and they can be charged with it, which clears the police department. They still got a civil suit they have to worry about, but there will be no legal ramifications.
Yeah. And, if the cop did just make a mistake, I can see never being a cop again. I can see manslaughter charges. But, I also wouldn't be an advocate to throw this cop in prison forever if he didn't have malice.
Right.
And yes, I would agree that the charges should fall on the guys that initiated the crime.
Yeah.
But we don't know any of those things, but we will be keeping our eye out for more information on this story. If you've got any information about this story today or the next day or a month from now, and these videos stay live on YouTube in full 30 and Tactical Shit TV forever. So if you've got more information about it, comment below. If you've got any questions or comments about good guy with a gun and what a good guy with a gun should do, after being involved in a gun unholstered situation and the police arrive to try to keep, I just want you guys to think about that. Think about that. We preach here, carry everywhere and carry every day. And because we want to put more good guys with guns on the street. We also preach that, Second Amendment's you're right, but training is your responsibility. And that every single one of you listening should sign up for tactical training or CCW training with a guy like KD, so that you can be a better good guy with a gun.
Absolutely.
And mitigate your civil and criminal liability, and maybe, just maybe, live through the cops getting there.
It is possible. This is an unfortunate incident.
It's very unfortunate, and but we wanted to bring it to you. Do we have anything else to talk about there? Anything else you want to lay on the?
Just in closing, I would like to say this. Listen, guys, I don't think that there is any bad person listening to the sound of my voice right now, and just understand that with this dynamic time in our country, if we're going to make any kind of headway as far as communication and understanding what we're all aiming for, handle your conversations responsibly. As you're talking about this, it's one thing to fly off and just get to going on one side or the other, but handle your conversations responsibly. People are upset for a valid reason, and you are not being honest with yourself if you are going to say that race doesn't play a component in how people are feeling. Now, can we guarantee that race played a factor in what occurred? No. But the way that people feel about it, it is a real thing. So before you jump out there and you start making insensitive comments, ask yourself, are you helping or are you just being an idiot and hurting? So that's something to consider.
Right on, KD. Well, this is the part of the podcast where I have to thank a sponsor.
Do
right?
that. You got to pay the bills.
So we got to pay the bills. So today, we thank a lot of our sponsors. We got Anderson Manufacturing, who's going to have some great deals for Black Friday coming up. We've got Mantis, the training solution. Have you ever worked with Mantis?
I haven't.
You haven't? It's a little Dumaflachi you hook onto the end of the gun, and it goes to the app on the phone, and it actually works. It's kind of fascinating. I want you to play with one before you leave, because it whether you're using a laser SIRT pistol, an airsoft pistol, you can set it to real pistol, dry fire, live ammo, and it'll tell you. It's kind of spooky. It'll tell you if you're slapping the trigger, if you're anticipating the recoil, if you're breaking the wrist, if you're squeezing too hard. It's crazy. Okay. It's a neat toy. It's like $199, and it definitely improves your trigger pull, no doubt about it. And they have tons of data to back that up. The one I want to talk about today, though, is Zor gun locks. Have you seen these things?
I've only seen them. I think I've seen them at SHOT Show once, and I've seen you do a video on them once.
So I've got my my agency here. I've got it loaded. You want to check that real quick? I got it loaded with dummy rounds. There's no primers on those bad boys.
That is true.
All right. And then in my pocket, I should have a Zor gun lock right there. Right. So the Israelis are all about gun safety, but being immediately ready. Okay. And so this is basically designed by the Israelis to be something for the guy that keeps the gun laying on the nightstand at home, or the guy that leaves the gun in the car when he goes in the ball game. And we know that happens so much here in St. Louis. People take their guns downtown, but they can't take them into the ball game, so they leave them in the car. Yep. And local entrepreneurs break the window out, take the gun, and now your gun is in the hands of the bad guy. So the Zor gun lock is, let me do this real quick. 3. What you do is take the mag out. All right, so I put that in there. It's caliber specific. All I got to do is put in my easy code. Green light means go. Push that in, and now it's locked.
Okay.
Play with that. So that gun is out of battery. A round can't be put in it, and it's essentially a hammer right now.
All right.
So the way they design these is for the mag to be inserted loaded, right? So now it's on my nightstand, or it's in my car under the seat or in the glove box, whatever, because I don't have a fancy locking device bolted to my car, right? And so the idea behind Zor is if I need it, I just pick it up, put in the code, and now I've got a round chambered. That's how fast it is. Drop the mag out. There she is. So in less than 5 seconds, you can unsecure the firearm and chamber a round. So pretty neat little invention. And Zor is giving a special deal to Tactical Shit listeners, to shit show listeners. Right now, 25% off. It's a pre-Black Friday deal. Everybody else that doesn't listen to this podcast, they have to wait till Black Friday to get 25% off. But if you use the link and I think the promo code above or below, you get 25% off right now. These things ship out of Miami, so they'll be here for you before the holidays. Great idea for somebody with young children that haven't quite been officially trained well enough yet to be safe with a gun, and or kids that have friends that come around and, you want to have your gun readily accessible, but you don't, want your neighbor's kid to shoot themselves on accident and end up on the news. Zor gun locks. Check them out. One other thing we wanted to talk about in the podcast before we go off the air here is this new bill.
Oh,
did you hear about this?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The liberals aren't even in control of Congress yet till January 4th. And they are already trying to put Tactical Shit out of business.
They wrote it just for you?
Yeah, it's almost like they did. So they have come up with Bill H.R. 7115. I invite you all to please go to the link in this podcast or just Google H.R. 7115 Congress bill and read this piece of garbage because it's masked as a 3D printed gun ban, right? That matter of fact, that's the name of the ban, the 3D Firearms Prohibitions Act. Like that word, prohibition, right? Nice. So they're what they're trying to do here. Let's just get to the bill. This act may be cited as the 3D Firearms Prohibition Act.
I just want to start out by saying that it's racist. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you, KD.
You're welcome.
I'm sure all gun laws are racist.
All gun laws are racist. Absolutely.
All right. So This is banning hazardous products. They're gonna they're putting this under Consumer Product Safety Act, and so they're going to ban one, a firearm receiver casting or firearm receiver blank. In other words, 80% lowers, or unfinished handgun frame. There's the poly 80. Yeah. All right, which at the point of sale does not meet the definition of a firearm in Section 921A of the Title 18 U.S. Code. In other words, it's not serialized and registered as a firearm. B, after purchase by a consumer, can be completed by the consumer to the point at which such casting blank functions as a firearm for a systematic assault weapon or machine gun or the frame of a handgun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cute. So basically, paragraph 1 there bans all 80s. Polymer 80s, metal 80s, it doesn't matter. They're wanting to get rid of them, whether they're 3D or not. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then here's where it gets interesting. Number 2, an assault weapons parts kit. An assault weapons parts kit. And then number 3, a machine gun parts kit. I'm pretty sure a machine gun parts kit's already fucking illegal.
Yeah. I don't think you can just get that.
I'm thinking the NFA's got that covered, Congress. Yeah. But anyway, number 2 is the part. There's 5 words. An assault weapons parts kit. All right. Now, if we skip to the bottom of the bill and we go to Section 5 definitions, the term assault weapons parts kit means any part or combination of parts designed and intended to enable a consumer who possesses all such necessary parts to assemble a semi-automatic assault weapon. Let me reread that. Assault weapon parts kit means any part or combination of parts intended to enable a consumer who possesses such parts to assemble an AR-15. So I improvised there a little bit. I don't like calling them assault weapons. They're not assault weapons, right?
Yeah.
But basically,
detents.
Yeah. Detents.
Takedown levers.
Muzzle brakes.
Triggers.
Carry handles.
Barrels.
Stocks. Arm braces. Buffers.
Man.
Springs.
Forward assist.
Forward assists.
Dust covers.
Dust covers. Absolutely. Dust covers are lethal.
Man.
Every single one of those parts will be illegal if this bill somehow makes it through. Now, what all of you are saying is, well, we have the Senate and we have the presidency, so I don't need to worry about this at all.
Yeah, okay.
Seriously? Don't be that fucking stupid. It doesn't matter that this bill doesn't have any sponsors or that it's only a handful of super liberal conservatives that are putting it through, or that we control the Senate or the presidency or any of that bullshit. Every single one of these things needs to be fought like you're fighting for the last gun right you have, because something like this would destroy the gun industry and your rights as you know them.
Overnight. And that's because you're taking it to your point, and you're absolutely correct, because we get lazy, right? If whenever we feel like, oh, we got things under control, if we got the right president in office and we feel like, oh, gun rights are secure, look, your rights are never secure. And I'll tell everybody, stop surrendering your freedom to a politician. Stop doing that. Stop doing it. Stop giving your freedoms to politicians. I don't care who you like, who you don't like. Politicians have a job to do, and it's to take care of themselves, period. Across the board, point blank. Last time I dealt with gangs, red and blue, it was in a different type of environment. And next thing I know, I grow up and I got different gangs going on. I don't trust any of them. Now, some of them have more in common with us than others, and that is true. However, you think because somebody is sitting in an office that they are considering your freedoms every single day they wake up. There is never a situation where they're thinking about how they're going to be taken care of, how their family's going to be taken care of, how the people they owe favors to are going to be taken care of. You believe that they wake up every day, from the House to the Senate to the presidency, they wake up every day like, we're going to make sure that TJ's gun rights are covered. That's what I'm going to do today. You a damn fool.
Right.
You better take care of yourself.
Yeah. Stop thinking that the boogeyman is under the bed.
Yeah.
You know, local ranges here in St. Louis, sales are down 20 to 30% right now. The ranges?
Yep.
Fucking shoot your guns. What? I mean, Obama was the best gun salesman on earth, right? Everybody ran out and bought a ton of guns.
Yep.
And now, because they think everything's okay, we're living in the Trump utopia, Trump chain, whoop, whoop, Nobody's shooting their guns. Nobody's training. They're not shooting their guns. They're not even thinking about it. And then bills like this, that's how they slide through. When you're not paying attention because you think everything's gonna be okay. Man,
you better.
It's not gonna be okay.
Nope. Get up, get out, pay attention to things, be ready to fight. If you're not fighting, you should be training to fight.
Did you know I could do that?
No, I did not know you could do that. Okay, look at you out here representing. All right, okay. Gangs, I told you. Yeah. So, see, you guys have to get out, man. And that's another thing too. Speaking of ranges, and obviously you have a part in this. Mm-hmm. Local businesses. Ranges and things like that, they need your
support.
Period, man. Yeah. Like if you what do you expect? Everybody think, okay, yeah, one side we need to make sure that we're fighting for our gun rights. Absolutely. B, we need to make sure we're growing our community, right? How do we get more people into it? We got to refresh this thing, right? And then C, another big thing is making sure that the businesses that are your conduit to your freedom, that get you the things you need, are being supported. Right. So if you want to work, man, it takes effort, and it's more than just sitting behind sharing something on Facebook saying, well, I shared one patriotic post today. My job's done. No, it's not.
Yeah. Support your local ranges. Support your local instructors. Sign up for that training. If you're not going to buy any more guns, fine. You already got enough. Good. If you're not going to buy any more gun parts, I got a problem with that. But that's because I sell gun parts. But what you definitely need to still be investing in is range time and training and doing whatever you can to support your local gun shops and ranges. And unfortunately, even the NRA, the people that call you in the middle of dinner, even though sometimes you don't agree with everything they're doing, they're the guys that are going to keep shit like this from sneaking through and biting you in the ass.
Sometimes people need to realize, and it's a personal decision, you don't have to like somebody as a friend, but are they an ally? And that's a personal decision. Allies win wars. Mm-hmm. Friendships don't.
Nope.
Right? And so that's how you have to look at things. Is this person or organization an ally to what I am trying to achieve? I can hate 7 things you do, but damn it, if you're doing 10 that are going to keep me free, you're going to be my ally. Just remember that. Allies win wars. Friends don't, man. They just don't.
Absolutely. Neither one of us work for the NRA. We're just we just want to see all of you tactical shitheads. There's million plus of you out there. Step up, support your local ranges, fight these bills, call your congressman, send emails, do everything you can to make noise to make shit like this go away. And then when this one goes away, the next one's going to pop up right behind it, and keep fighting.
Remember to tell your congressman or congress lady that all gun laws are racist, period.
Speaking of racist, what happened to Token Marcus?
Why?
Well, because when I snapped my fingers at the beginning of the podcast, he was supposed to show up, but I got you. I was just kind of, is he still alive?
You can have him back, man, but I'm telling you, I got a whole problem with this token thing. You want him in 1 piece or 2?
1, please.
All right, man, you and your little token shit.
What are you going to snap your fingers?
I can't. But you sure you want him in 1?
Yes, I'm positive.
We can do 2, because I don't like this whole token thing. Ooh.
Yeah, but if you split him in half, then he's 2 times token.
Yeah, but at least all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave that alone. You want this dude back?
I do. We'd like to have him back. We're kind of fond of him.
You need to find some better help around here, because that sellout stuff ain't working.
Katie, what did I ever do to you?
You know what you did, man. You need to start representing who you are a little bit better, because this stuff you've been doing around here ain't where it's at.
You all right, bro?
Yeah, he lucky to be all right.
Hey, you know what? We had a good podcast, though. Yeah. So I'll take this knife out and start cutting you free.
Watch your mouth from now on.